Before we begin, thank you very much to Blue D for joining the Patreon campaign uh, over at patreon.com/TJOmega. Um, Blue, you've got one of those names that's kind of borderline, could be made up, could be your real name. So I am hedging on the side of caution and abbreviating your last name because that's what I do, because I don't know who wants their full name out there on the internet. That said, thanking Blue D might not be the best way of actually beginning a video, but here we are. So thank you very much for the contribution. Thank you to everyone that helped keep this channel alive. It is very appreciated that you care enough to keep me around. Okay, you're probably wondering by now, what is this pink monstrosity you are staring at? Okay, so let's explain what's going on here. This is going to get weirder because I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'm going to drop this down to confuse you more. Some of you might know what's going on here. For the rest, allow me to explain. This is Dizzy. Her name is Dizzy, and that is her rescue tow over on your right. This is from a line called Super Wings. Now, you might have seen this line on like a suggested Amazon purchase if you are into Transformers or, rescue bots. Or you might have seen this most likely in a Barnes & Noble. If you've ever gone through the toy section of one of those. Rescue Bots, there's where my brain is. Super Wings is a South Korean cartoon that is available worldwide. It is on Netflix here in America, and it's basically just a preschool cartoon that is Pixar's Cars meet Transformers. So this is kind of like a continued series in like alternatives to Transformers, because we talked about a few, we've reviewed a few, but this is just not even like a typical review. This is mostly just me just like showing what the toys are, just in case you as a Transformer fan saw them, got curious, but don't want to spend your money. Don't worry, I'm a reviewer. I'll spend my money for you so that you can know what exactly this is and if this might tickle your fancy. And we're going to be doing this for a while. Like, the purpose is not to review it so much, even though it is going to be a review. The purpose is to just kind of settle your curiosities. And this one is particularly interesting to me. So, take a look at Dizzy up close here. And she is just this cute little pink helicopter. She'd be right at home in the Cars spin-off Planes universe. Yeah, it's just, pretty simple, all things considered, though she has a decent amount of paint going on, like big tampographed front eyes, windshield kind of thing. I don't know which. There, the top is painted as well. A little bit of white paint around the intakes there at the top. The entirety of the bottom is done up with white plastic. She's actually pretty well done. She is actually pretty well done. Little tampographs of a logo there on the sides as well. Now, there's a whole toy line of these, and a lot of it just kind of revolve around figurines like this. These are available individually in like a multi-pack, so you don't have to get the big truck that goes with all of these. Or there are very large ones, like the size of Voyagers, that are just this, but bigger. So let me just show you. All these pretty much have like the same rudimentary transformation. Swing the legs out like so. On Dizzy, we got to fold the tail down as well. And then just pop the arms out like so. Very simple. Like nothing really to these. Remember, it's a play school. It's a preschool cartoon, so you get a play school style Transformer, which is not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people like Rescue Bots. A lot of people like the Bots. This kind of falls into the same vein if you just want these like little Cars looking figurines. And there are quite a few of these. I've seen more that are like the big ones that chunk onto a bigger vehicle to make like a T-Rex. I've seen that, even though they could still form like a little robot mode like this. Like I've seen like big size ones like this. I've seen them in all chrome. They do that too. They play around with the toy line a lot, and there's actually some that just planes like straight out look like old school Transformers, which I probably should have picked one, but Dizzy stands out. So we went with Dizzy. And there's another reason why I really wanted to tackle this particular iteration of Super Wings. So let's take a look at the bigger vehicle here. You can see it's supposed to be a tow truck, as pointed out by the tow arm in the back. But You know, it's kind of generic in the style. It definitely doesn't look like a tow truck, really. You see her emblem there on the front as well. The front bumper is done as a sticker rather than paint, which, okay, in some cases you can get away with that. It is a cheaper toy. I'll tell you, this is under 20 bucks. All right, so price might vary depending on where you are. This was under 20 bucks for me. I think on Amazon it's a little over 20. But yeah, you can actually see there's actually quite a bit going on here. There's a lot of painted detail. All this pink up here, that's paint. This pink over here is paint. The rims, actually, those are plastic, but the trim around it, also paint. And then paint trim up top, too. Some extra plastic here to break up the pink is what should be a seat, I guess. More, the darker paint up here. If we go to the rear, well, nothing back there. But hey, we got a little bit of soft goods because the string actually works. The crane doesn't work. I mean, it goes up and down, but there's nothing to like winch it. There's nothing to retract it or anything. It's just a string, just for the sake of getting the detail in. If we look inside, there is actually a cockpit. You can actually see a screen and some controls in there. But this is where it's going to start getting weird. And if you follow a lot of these weird toy lines out of Asia, some of this might start looking a little bit familiar, oddly enough. So we're going to talk about that. But first, Dizzy has to get ready. So just fold the arms back in and then plop right down here. Her feet will go into little slots at the front. You'll feel a click. And there she is now piloting her tow truck. And this is where this line started to catch my interest, or at the very least my curiosity. Because you know what this now feels like? If I put it right here and you just take it, don't ignore the bright fluorescent pink. Ignore the fact that it's a preschooler's toy. Let's actually focus on what is going on here visibly, physically. If you really want to break this down, this is Drive Head. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Drive Head, it's one of the TJOmega lines out of Asia. It's the one where it's this big vehicle. This is really big vehicle, but it's hollow in the front top section because you're supposed to slot a smaller car in there. That car forms flips up and forms a head, and that big vehicle it plugged into transforms into the robot body. That's Drive Head. That's this Super Wings line, this particular iteration of Super Wings. It's all Super Wings. I can't remember this sub-series name. The point being, they aped that gimmick for this toy line, which is super weird to me. So yeah, like it's super strange. There is now like technically a knockoff TJOmega line available, most likely at your Barnes & Noble right now. And I happen to pick the girliest one because I thought it stood out the most and that would make a funny thumbnail. So let's see. Let's actually transform it so you know what you're getting into. Because, of course, I'm here to sate your curiosity about all these weird, not Transformer toy lines. So, very simple transformation. I think all of them transform the same way. So, go ahead and pop the arms off the side. They peg in there, the front of the shins. So, make sure you avoid that. Breaking anything that way. You're going to extend the legs out like so. Rotate them down. And then the entire waist rotation goes like so. You can also separate the legs at this point. As for the arms, they don't really fold toward the front. They will rotate all the way here on big ball joints. You'll extend those out at the bicep and then extend the hands out as well. Do that again on the other side. That gives you, your basics. And now for that crane arm, rotate it around, fold it up. That's about as compact as it gets. So, in very simple steps, there you have Dizzy's Super Robot Mode. And yeah, like, again, it just feels like a very simplified version of Drive Head. And I'm super curious about that. If that is literally intentionally what they attempted to do, or if they just hit on, the same kind of gimmick. And it does make sense, because they want to keep the character intact for how they appear in the actual cartoon, which is this individual little cutesy Cars style, super deformed robot look, or vehicle look in this case. But yeah, this allows them to keep that silhouette, that allows them to keep that figure, but also have something that kind of suits, you know, a better, like, Transformer-esque experience. It's kind of clever in that. It really is. So, you can see no real details changed. You get the front of the legs going now with a little bit more of that fuchsia plastic, just to kind of break things up and give it a little bit more definition. Mostly white plastic going on here, which is fine. Works with the pink, of course it does. The joints, like the build itself, let's just go ahead and I'll show you. It's a little rickety. It's a little rickety, and because these are on slide joints, they will be prone to fail over time. And I'll tell you, they're not the tightest thing in the world. Like, if I have these legs reconnected, I can kind of push it down pretty easily. Those lock better than the arms. The arms have like really soft locks, but if you're not messing with it too much, it should be fine. Articulation-wise, of course, you're dealing with a toy for preschoolers, so you don't expect a whole lot. The shoulders are ball jointed. They're very awkwardly positioned to simplify the engineering, but they do actually have a ball joint on them, so they do get somewhat decent motion out of it. All you get is karate chopping with those thin hands, but hey, karate chopping robots are cool too. And then the hips are on a ball joint as well, so you get a little bit of rotation this way. You do get back and forth. The back wheel gets blocked, and then not a whole lot of outward. So definitely not something you'd want for posability, right? The waist joint still works though, so you have that going for you. But yeah, that's pretty much what you're getting into with this. Like I said, there's a lot of different variations of these. I didn't want to go too in depth. Also, I didn't want to spend $100 getting like one of everything just to show you what this line is about. Suffice to say, these little figurines are sold in a multi-pack. There are large versions of those characters that all kind of work the same way. There's more of these. There's things that kind of resemble normal Transformers. I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting. And they do like super weird stuff too. Because I think this has gone on for like, if I looked it up right, like 6 seasons. I don't know if that many are available in English, but there's a lot. So just in case you were curious, that's what Super Wings is. It's drive head for preschoolers. It's the best way I can phrase it, and probably this is the simplest package possible. So there's your review. That is to sate your curiosity if you've ever seen these things. And let me know in the comments below. I know there is a lot of these kind of work like Transformer lines. Let me know if there's one you'd like me to investigate. I've already got a couple others. They are kind of like borderline knockoff-ish, but they are readily available, so I do want to talk about those. But leave me more ideas in the comment section because I know there's a ton of them. So until then, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You would think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy.
Of course it would be the freaking elves that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.
Oh.